What's up everyone, welcome to today's video, welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to jump right into the video because I think I was wrong on my last video when I was trying to estimate what we'll probably see for the playtime of the night, because I did not cite this one fact that we actually do have, and that is the progression of Batgirl at the time that she was actually fighting Mr. Freeze halfway. This was the first mission and first gameplay that we saw at the DC Fandom event in 2020. So knowing that there are three major villains and knowing the way the game has actually been structured based on what they showed us at that DC Fandom event gameplay, I think we might have a game that might be much longer than we perceive it to be, plus other extenuating circumstances depending on how you want to run the game. So let me go ahead and play this clip that was actually shared by Patrick Redding when they actually did the first reveal of the game. So we're going to listen to this very short aspect of the first gameplay trailer, and then we'll go from there. So
we're going to look at a short clip from one of Gotham Knight's villain crimes in a pre-alpha build. This mission is halfway through the Mr. Freeze storyline, and we're playing Batgirl a dozen or so hours into her character progression.
So, a dozen or so hours into her character progression, and we're playing Batgirl. Now, at this stage in the game, this is one of the, villain stories that we have. And in a sense, it's progressing about a dozen hours into her character progression. Now, we don't know from here on how much more progression Batgirl has, but we can estimate and throw out any number. In my last video, I made an estimate that we'll probably be seeing, maybe, depending on the character, somewhere around, 12 hours for each character in terms of their progression. But I think I was off on that. And I'm sure this is probably going to go ahead and resolve some of the concerns that some people have in terms of playtime. Now, one of my audience members actually did share something with me about how long it took them to actually complete the Arkham games in regard to, say, maybe Arkham City and, Arkham Asylum and so on and so forth. And they actually said that Arkham City took them about 6 to 8 hours to complete. Now, if that's the case, then I'm certain that, for those of us who are probably thinking this game is more than likely going to have the length naturally anyways, it's one of these newer games that is longer than a game like Batman Arkham City, which is a game that was actually, made along the lines and in the time when your video games could be shorter and you can get away from it or get away with it anyways. Back in the day, that's basically what you could do. Nowadays, if your video game is not clocking, at least 25 to 30 hours, it feels like you haven't really made any game at all. And so this is what I wanted to go ahead and, put out there, because I think it's very important that we look through the information, because this game has dropped so much info. I even forget some of the stuff that the game has actually done in the past, which is crazy because I've actually made a video surrounding this and we did some estimates based on this. But when they talked about having, these three major villains, which is, I don't know how true that is, but the developers did say it. So I guess we're going to go with what they said. There might be surprises afterwards. It's nice that we actually have this particular timestamp from 2 years ago that is highlighting this. It brings me to something else that I wanted to also go ahead and highlight before actually closing out the video. And that is that as of 2020, this game was already at this point in terms of its development. The developers already had the game pretty much what I think almost completed, and they were waiting for that 2021 release date. I think the entire pushback from the entire of 2021 was the optimization issues that they were facing with the old generation consoles. Those consoles probably, in my opinion, had already gone ahead to, basically show them that their open world is going to be some kind of a huge task. Now, one of my audience members actually alluded to this when we were talking about the PC requirements. And, most of you have been asking me, what are my thoughts on, your PC requirements and so on and so forth, if your computer is going to be able to play the game. And I've been trying my best to answer based on some of the specs. And for most of you, you're good. Anything past those recommended, minimum specs, you're going to be good. Eventually, the recommended, specs are going to be out. And then from there, you can see what quality you're playing on. And an audience member of mine said to me, this game is going to be very CPU intensive because it is an open world game. Now, as to how they're going to be able to run the open world and stream it, I think that's also going to affect the CPU that you're using. But I think for this game, they already had all of the specs in place. They already had things going and how they wanted to release the game. I probably, in my opinion, think that it just would not have presented a good set of quality parameters for the PlayStation 4, because already even the recommended specs are asking for an i5 9500 or 9600, which is a interesting generation of i5 chips. Now, old chips might be able to play it, but even old chips from 2015 and 16 were already better than the PS4. So I guess this is some of the stuff that we're probably seeing. And who knows, if they had probably gone ahead as of 2021 to say, hey, we're ditching the last gen consoles, I don't think they would have been able to realize as much sales as they are going to right now, because consoles, the new generation of consoles, were not as available as they are now. And so far, so good. We're even getting reports that this game has now started to sell even higher than Ragnarok on the PlayStation Store. And I'm certain that it's also moving up in the ranks with the Xbox Store, even though most Xbox gamers usually prefer different kinds of games. But we're going to see that trend as the game gets closer and closer to release. The marketing and the ad spend is going crazy right now. Most of my videos, if I click a video to answer a comment and the video starts playing, I see Gotham Knights ads on my videos, and I'm like, who you guys are, advertising to, man? I already bought the game. So this is just some of the fun stuff that I'm seeing surrounding the game, and I think it's really interesting to share. I'll get out of your hair. Thank you for indulging me. Pardon my mistake in not citing this particular detail that we had from 2 years ago in regard to somewhat of the progression. So let's factor that into account and let's make our judgments from there on. Talk to you guys in another video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.